97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock.
Hello, this is Michael Spedden, and thanks for joining us today on the 97underground.com Michael Spedden Interviews channel here on YouTube. There have been many requests from both listeners and guests for us to make available our artist interviews so they can listen again or share with others. You can find us on YouTube at 97underground Michael Spedden. Remember, the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Not only do I feature artist interviews, I feature songs you forgot you liked, classics that never die, beloved local, regional, up-and-coming, and underground artists. You can listen anytime, anywhere by downloading our free app from 97underground.com. Just do it. And now, today's episode. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in today. We sat down with Seaside Massacre from Yuba City, California. We had Jake Madden and Don Turner come on to talk about some of their material and an EP that they plan on releasing on April 19th of 2024. Enjoy the interview. And here we are again on the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show here on 97underground.com, Baltimore's pure rock worldwide. And today we have Seaside Massacre, all the way from the great state of California, Yuba City. So we have Don Turner and Jake Madden. Well, nice to meet you, Jake. We've been talking for a little bit here, and you sent me some of your material, which sounds great. You know, we've gotten a couple of songs from you that you'd like to get out, and we will, we'll spin both of them here in our interview today. So what's going on with you guys? You know, it looks like you guys have been pretty busy and up to some stuff.
We've been trying to be, man. We're really trying to get out of the mud this year, so to speak.
I've been there. I know what you mean, you know.
Yeah, man. We just actually signed with an artist management group from Northern California out here. They're called Venom and Vixen. They've been really great to us so far. You know, it's been a great working relationship. It's been really cool to get to know those guys, and hopefully, just that strength, that partnership will strengthen us to the next level, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong with something like that. If you have somebody in this business that's willing to give you a boost up and kind of bring you on board and help develop you and everything, you really can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And everybody there's been really, personable with us, and it's not like, it doesn't feel like a manager artist relationship. It's just like talking with friends, and it's beautiful, man.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And again, somebody getting that kind of a support, getting the exposure, getting to mix and mingle with people and get to the next level is really what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep. So how long has this band been around?
So we've been around since 2019.
Okay.
A little caveat on that, though. We used to be another band with slightly different members, totally different genre.
Yeah.
We used to be Atomic Flounder.
Okay.
That was for a couple of years, but, we changed it up to a more metalcore sound and kind of, got serious about it. So Seaside Massacre, as the entity it is now, has been around since 2019.
You went in more of a heavier direction then.
Correct.
What were you doing before?
It was more of like a punk vibe, I guess you would say. More of like that, like skater punk, like kind of like suicidal like suicidal tendencies and stuff like that. And we kind of like played a lot off like the Ramones, like back like the early stuff.
Oh yeah.
As well. But it was kind of just like a fun thing. Like we were just kind of jamming and not really taking it that serious. And then we wrote some serious material, and then everyone's like, you guys actually should probably do that. And we're like, all right, let's do that. So yeah, we kind of changed it a little bit.
And one of our favorite promoters out here, he booked us on this really big show at a local venue called the Boardwalk, and it had like a really big black metal band on it and had the Casualties and stuff. And he's like, you guys did great tonight, man, but I got to be honest with you, it's hard to book these bands coming through with a band called Atomic Flounder. We hear you, brother. We hear you.
Yeah, sometimes the name change makes all the difference too. Not that I think Atomic Flounder is bad, but then again, if you heard some of the band names I've come up with over the years, Atomic Flounder is a masterpiece.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yep. And well, that's great. Have you been getting out on the road a little bit? I mean, what venues? I mean, you had mentioned a couple of them here. The Boardwalk you just talked about. How about some other venues that you're doing out there? I mean, are you going up and down the coast, or are you pretty much doing locally right now?
So right now we've been pretty local with it, but later this year we'll be expanding a lot. But local venues that we've been playing are Goldfield out in Roseville, California. That's an amazing venue.
Yeah.
we've been trying to get out there for years, and we finally got to this January, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
There's also Old Ironsides out here, one of the oldest bars in California, actually. So that place still kicking, still great live music, man. We got the Colony, that's, kind of a more DIY kind of punk venue, but that place is awesome, dude. If you can really draw out there, like that place is the ultimate, like hardcore kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I know I'm missing.
You're missing there's this place called the Mosaic out in Folsom. It's kind of pretty cool because like it's a church, but they rent it out to like whoever owns it, they rent it out, and then it becomes a metal venue on some other days. So the sound quality and the vibe there is really good because it's a church, so it's a nice building. It's a very family friendly event, so you can bring a lot of people to that, and it's just that's a good quality venue as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like you're getting around quite a bit here, and I'm not exactly familiar with all the geography of Northern California, but I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty good radius of venues that you're getting, getting out on the road a bit. Are you finding that you go over differently in different spots that you play in? That usually happens.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. This will have already aired by the time we played, but we're playing in a place in Marysville, California called River's Edge Pub. And that place, it's crazy because that's like a country bar, like primarily, blue collar kind of drinking hole kind of place.
Yeah,
we play at a place like that, and you just never know what you're gonna get. But then you go to Goldfield or something, and the crowd's loving it and having a good time. And it is interesting. Some places receive us, a little different than others for sure.
Yeah.
I played a place like that about 35 years ago, and I was like, halfway through the set, I was like, next time we're bringing chicken wire. I
mean, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh boy, woo, boy, yeah. Chicken wire and safety glasses for sure next time.
Yeah. No kidding, huh? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
But I've just noticed too, and I thought maybe this, and it does sound like it kind of applies to you that, my bands were based in Baltimore. That was always home base. But, when we would play DC, different animal. The crowd was a different animal down there. New York, a different animal too. And, we went over, I wouldn't say necessarily better, but when we played, we went over for different reasons in different areas. Some people like this part of it. Is that something else you're finding too?
Kinda. It's more of a.
It has a lot to do with the bands we're playing with, I think, too.
Right.
It's because our genre doesn't necessarily fit into one small pigeonhole. I'd like to think anyway. So if we're playing with like the heavier bands, it just depends. Sometimes we'll play with like more poppy-ish rock bands.
Right.
It really, I think it depends a lot on what kind of bill we're on, but
sure.
But I think we can appeal to a pretty wide variety of people. I would hope so anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's good. The more the merrier. I mean, it's. I've played for the bartender too, and I know what that's like, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Bartender and sound man. Yep.
Yeah.
That was Saturday night for us for years, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's like I said, I've done a show like that myself, and after you do the effort of packing everything up, getting everything over there, getting set up and everything, and then all of a sudden the bartender wants to go home early, so I guess you kind of cut your losses.
Yeah, we've done that before too, man.
Yeah.
6 or 7 songs set will turn into 2. It's like, well, it's all good. It's for the best anyway.
Right. But the thing that I like about heavy metal is that you can fit different genres together. There is kind of like commonality between certain ones where, I mean, you guys could probably play with a heavy punk band. You could probably play with a thrash metal band. You could probably even play with a prog metal band too, because there are those elements. It just seems like people aren't so siloed anymore that, with all the music that's been around for all these years, it sounds like that people are not just strictly one thing. There are elements of lots of others that kind of blend in where you may have a primary style. But it doesn't seem like that, but there are other elements to it as well that appeal to others.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I honestly, I think that like nowadays, when we first were starting to do this, you had that like some of those guys had that elitist attitude, right? If it wasn't a million miles an hour and super heavy, then it's not good, kind of thing. But nowadays it's almost like everyone is kind of like, it's just like, it's almost becoming just metal again, you know, like we're almost kind of just getting rid of all the subgenres and all that, and we're just kind of like playing what sounds good, you know what I mean? It's kind of like whatever suits your needs at that time, you know. That's how we kind of write songs, you know, and you can kind of hear that in some of our songs, you know. It'll sound like really Metallica here, and then all of a sudden we go really not Metallica, and you know. So yeah,
I know what you mean. What inspired you all, you know, at your, you know, to start writing music, and then also on your own individual roles, you know, your instruments that you play?
Jacob and I are both huge Metallica fans.
Yeah,
he's got a Metallica sleeve, so
yeah, I got Metallica ink everywhere. But yeah, I think Metallica was honestly the band, because I grew up with that, with no dad and stuff like that, so that was kind of like and it wasn't his fault, he passed away, but you know, it was more of my mom was struggling trying to find what to do, and I picked up Master of Puppets one day, and he had an old acoustic guitar he left for me, and I put those together, and that was kind of it for me, you know. It kind of just clicked, and that was kind of like the biggest influence. And just watching them play live, I was just like, I have to do that. That's just something I want to do.
Yeah. And growing up watching a lot of the videos of the older shows before I was around, you know, like Ozzy Osbourne back in the day, dude, he'd get up there and just have the crowd in the palm of his hand. That was one of the coolest things growing up, seeing that, hearing like the energy of bands like Nuclear Assault, stuff like that, like those crossover bands from the 90s. Those had big influences on me coming up too. I don't know, vocally though, my biggest influences are the guys that can go out there and scream their heads off for an hour and a half and be perfectly fine, man. Those guys like August Burns Red, Fit for a King, those kind of newer bands, those guys that can do that, or that's kind of where my inspiration vocally came from anyway.
I don't know how you do it, man, and be able to talk. I mean, that is hardcore, dude. I tell you, you know, do you do any kind of maintenance or any kind of lessons or exercise to be able to continue to do that?
Yeah. So for a lot of years I didn't, and that was very detrimental to what I was trying to do. Over the last couple years though, I've kind of implemented kind of like a warm-up routine. Anytime I'm screaming, I'll sit in the car or wherever I'm at, you know, if it's practice, and I have this little routine I run over. I've gone on to, you know, like Melissa Cross, I've looked up a lot of her stuff, those YouTube, you know, tutorials, and just kind of taking what they have to offer and just kind of trying to apply that, and you know, try not to scream my head off at full volume constantly the whole time.
Yeah, you've got to learn how to moderate that, or you just, you know, or else you're not going to have it. You'll just blow yourself out and end up with all kinds of problems and everything. So why don't we go ahead and spin a tune here? Which one would you like us to play?
Let's do Old Death, A New Grave. That's the first song we have ever put out, and it was the reception for it was just amazing. It came out super good. Shout out to Tom Jimenez at Audio Edge Recordings. That man got us sounding right. So.
Well, very interesting. And I'd like to kind of maybe revisit a bit. It sounds like you guys are into some pretty old school influences. Like with the stuff that you enjoy and the things that may have really kind of inspired you a bit here. Let's kind of expand on that a bit here. I mean, I heard you mention Ozzy, Metallica. Are there others?
Yes, actually, there's a lot.
There's a ton.
My mom actually raised me on a lot of like old school gospel and
Okay,
Billy Idol,
Mhm.
a lot of 80s stuff. So I kind of grew up on that, and I think Billy Idol was probably the heaviest, that I
Mhm.
listened to growing up. And then I started leaning into like Sabbath and Ozzy,
Mhm.
and some of like that's when like I started playing guitar. So that's where the me starting to write stuff came into play was probably around that. But I mean nowadays the Elvis stuff and the Billy Idol stuff, like that kind of a hint of
Mhm.
the melody,
Oh
well,
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
kind of it'll bleed out into me sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dude, I came up in like the hair metal scene.
Hmm.
I have a cousin that's my same age, and then his older brother is about 7 years older than us, and he got us into all kinds of like obscure prog metal bands, and then that's kind of moved into like, hair
Mhm.
metal bands, like mainstream stuff, of course, but then some of the like lesser known stuff. And I'll be the first to admit, when I was in high school, I was a metal elitist. I was that kid going around like, if it's not from the 80s or 90s, I don't want to hear it.
Right, right,
I was that
right.
guy for so many years, man. But
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of that stuff, the 90s grunge, ironically, I liked a lot of that too. Yeah, I would say most of my influence comes from the old school rather than the new school.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Queensryche.
Queensryche, shout out
Sure.
Queensryche.
I
Mhm.
think they're a huge one on me.
Yeah,
I listen to the Empire album constantly.
yep.
So
Oh, certainly, yeah. I can remember that coming out, those guys when they were new. I can't remember who they toured with when they first came around here, but I do remember them coming to and that being huge. So it sounds like, that you guys definitely have your influences from then. But I mean, the one thing I've been trying to tell people now, and we get material from bands all the time, people, especially in my age group, the 80s kids, 50 plus. There's no good music nowadays. I'm like,
right,
yes, there
right.
is. Even on this show, I try to, I like to pull out deep cuts off of older albums, like the old school
Mhm.
metal, mostly 70s, earlier 80s. I do like to feature, bands, like yourselves that are up and coming. I like finding new albums out there that may be from like established people as well. I don't know if you guys have followed like Sons of Apollo or Iconic. Like a lot of guys that play with TSO are also, doing bands as well. Jeff
Yeah.
Scott Soto and Joel Hoekstra and those guys are always cranking out albums. And I had them on, I was like, how the hell do you do all this? I mean, what, I thought I was busy.
Yeah, dude, there is a
Yeah.
ton of good music from, like you said, established people,
Hmm.
underground artists. There's like, just in Sacramento alone, if you were to just put on a playlist,
Hmm.
from one band to another, there's so much quality music. It's
Mhm.
insane. Like it's out there if you're willing to go find it. I know
Hmm.
there's kind of that mentality of like how I was when I was a kid. If it wasn't from the 80s, it's not good.
Hmm.
But that's just not true.
Right.
It's just not true.
And there's so many different like incarnations of those bands too. A lot of them evolved, their lineups evolved, and you can tell when the new people came in. A lot of times, the sound of the bands changed, And
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's a good
sure,
example.
Queensryche, all the incarnations of Sabbath,
Yeah.
Yep,
Oh man.
exactly.
Iron Maiden definitely changed.
Yep. When Bruce
Yeah,
left and
yep. You like those guys?
yeah, exactly. Oh,
Oh
absolutely,
yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maiden is like top, I don't know, 5 bands of all time, man.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, me too, me too. They were. I'm a bass player, so that was
Ah,
Oh well then.
Steve
yeah.
Harris.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
They were
yeah.
definitely top of my list. It was always like Rush, yes, Iron Maiden, more on the prog side for me. Plenty of that stuff around back then. Shows that you're doing and everything. Any other traveling or anything like that? Do you ever do like any places like north, like Oregon, Washington State?
It's kind of funny you bring that up. We're planning our very first tour this year in July. It's just like a short 4-day run, nothing crazy, but
Right.
we're going to be starting, in our area. We're going to be going up to Seattle and
Uh-huh.
Everett. We hit in Portland. We're trying to get a date in Eugene. along the way. Just basically anything up the I-5, you know what I mean? So we're this year we're really trying to expand our horizons. We're trying to go up north. We're trying to go north, south, east, and west, man. We're trying to go everywhere and anywhere. You know, it's we're really trying to get our name out there. So I mean, if there's a place in Baltimore, Maryland that wants us, if we can make it work, we're out there, man.
I can connect you, definitely. You know, I'll be happy to connect you. There's a number of places around where I think you do pretty well. And Philly, too.
That would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be great, dude. August Burns Red's from Philadelphia, so that's my favorite band of all time. So
Sure. Over the past 35 years I've been involved in music, it seems like the pendulum kind of swings, especially in Baltimore, where you can't get booked unless you're playing covers. And then it swings back the other way where, the clubs are going all original. Your home scene out there, so what's it like in terms of that out there?
It's definitely there. There are bands that are strictly cover bands around here that's all they do. But for the most part, the bands that are doing originals, every single one of those bands that's at least from who they'll probably do one cover in a set list, one to two depending. Maybe some of them will even record them. And that so the cover scene is definitely, it's still around for sure.
And it is cool because there's a time and place for that, of course. Cover bands are dope. And it's definitely it's kind of a pendulum out here too. There's been times in the past 10 years I've been doing music where I've seen it where it's like you said, if you're not playing covers, Def Leppard covers on a Saturday night, you're not going to get anybody at your show. But it's really cool, man. The Sacramento music scene is very strong when it comes to originals. Anytime like the bigger bands will come to town and any of us get to hop on the bill, it's usually an original band. So that is really cool about our area, I would say.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, let's spin another song. You sent me another one called The Bay. Tell me about this one real quick before we put it on.
Yeah, so we're talking about Metallica. This has always been kind of an inside joke. This is our Sad But True.
Sure.
When you listen, you'll definitely hear the influence that I had, that song had on me, especially in like the verse riff. But yeah, I think that song is, if anybody was gonna say like, radio friendly song, I think that song is probably our most how do I put that? What's the right word? Where you can easily digest that song, as compared to some of our other stuff that might be a little complicated, but it's very from the perspective of a just a straight headbanging song. That's it right there.
Yep.
Broken, a mind that thinks
Well, boys, it's been great to meet you here and get a chance to hear your material here on 97underground.com. And what we'd like to do right now is just tell us, this is your shameless plug time where you can tell us what you have coming up that's notable. And are there any places where people that are listening to this can get a hold of your music or if you have merch or if you have anything else out there that you would like to get into people's hands and inform them of, please do so at this time.
Perfect. We appreciate it. So yeah, we're on, first of all, we have our 2 singles out that you guys have just heard. April 19th, we're releasing our very first EP entitled Shells. So that'll be everywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, anywhere you can listen to music. That's where that will be. We have links in all of our bios and all of our social media to go to our website, and we have merch up there. We'll have brand new merch by the time this comes out. So be some new shirts, some hats, some sweaters, anything that looks good, basically. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Sorry.
Great. So that would be, and the name of the website is,
it's just Seaside Massacre at, myshopify.com.
Yeah.
Okay. And I noticed too that you have a link tree as well. If you went to Linktree and typed in Seaside Massacre, you can find links to where you can buy all of your things and find out more information on the band. So, well, great, fellas. Again, I appreciate you taking the time to come out here all the way from Yuba City, California.
Yeah.
To our headquarters here right outside of Baltimore, Maryland. So best of luck with everything. And folks, like I said, if you like what you hear, there's more of it to come. Their album is going to be coming out, and buy it up. Listen to it. Support these guys. They're putting out good stuff here, well worthy of, I feel, your time and attention, folks. So show them some love. So, well, thanks, guys. You're listening to The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show on 97underground.com, Baltimore's Pure Rock Worldwide, and we will be back right after these words. And thanks again for listening to 97 Underground, the Michael Spedden Interviews, and we hope you enjoyed today's show. Remember, download the free app from 97underground.com so you can listen to us wherever you go. The Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, can be heard on 97underground.com every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Listen anytime, anywhere.
Metal.
Worldwide metal, 24/7. 97underground.com.